What's going on, guys? This is Multicubing here, and today we're back again with the second part of the simple 3x3 tutorial series. So today, as I said in the first part, I'm going to be showing you how to finish off the edge to make it so that it can perform well in the final cube, and so that it's not super blocky and sharp as it is right now. If this was printed, it would be very catchy, and it would also hurt to touch because everything is very sharp points. So how you want to do this is there's a couple ways of doing this. You can right click on it here and then hit open, or you can go into the folder where you have it saved and open it from there. In this case, I'm just going to right click it and hit open. So there we go. We are now everything else is separate in the assembly, and then we have the edge opened in its own part file, so we don't have to worry about anything else. So the first thing you want to do when you have this is you need to round off the areas that have to do with corner cutting. Now, depending on how stable you want this to be versus how much you want it to be able to corner cut will change how much you want to round this. Now, since I'm keeping this simple, I'm only going to use the basic type of fillet in this tutorial. So what you want to do is you want to use the fillet tool and select these 4 edges, and depending on how round you want it, you need to change this. Now, I would recommend avoiding going too much over 2 millimeters because that causes issues down here where this fin is, because as you can see, it changes angle, and then that can cause catching issues and stuff if you don't round that off enough. Actually, I'm going to show you how to do that in this, and if you think you want to give that a try, then go for it. So this is a simple way. You just select them and use this number. So 2 millimeters is probably a good limit for this, but the better way to do it is if you use variable fillets. So what we want to do is, so the start is here and the end is here. So I'm going to put that at like 1 millimeter actually, because we don't even need that to be that rounded on the inside. Make sure you uncheck smooth radius transition, and then I'm going to make the outside like 4 millimeters. Nothing crazy. Actually 5. I'm going to go with 5. That's nothing crazy, but it'll be enough that it should be able to cut a decent amount. Next, we're going to do that again, and we have to keep doing this with each line, each edge of the piece, until you have all 4 done. If you get this error, I'll show you what to do to fix that, because this does happen sometimes. Alright, so what you want to do if you get these red fillets is you just change everything to a smooth G2 fillet, like I'm doing here. This just makes it so that you're more able to do bigger fillets without getting errors. So now that's done, go back to constant, and then you want to like round off the outside of the edge. So I'm going to give this 2 millimeters there, and then I'm going to give it 1 millimeter of rounding everywhere else, which should give the outside of the edge a nice finished look, which will not be painful to use once you have it done. So I'm just going to apply. That's a bunch of fillets done. There we go. Now it's starting to look a bit more finished. Okay, so before you round this though, what you probably want to do first is chamfer this, because this way it will help prevent catching and things like that, and it will stop it from being too close to the corner. So about 1 millimeter or so of chamfer is probably fine, even maybe a little bit less. I'm going to go with 0.75, but that's up to a matter of preference. And then what you want to do after that is, as I was saying, fillet these fins here with 0.4 millimeters of filleting. And there you go. Next thing you want to do is round this here so it's perfectly round. And since we did 1.8 millimeters of thickness for this in the sketch, you need to apply the 1.8 that you used before here. And as you can see, as it's the same number we used in the sketch, it's perfectly round. So this will help create optimal corner cutting with this design. So that's done. So I'm just going to hit apply again, because now we need to be able to access these new curves that have been created. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a 0.5 millimeter fillet on this, just like I said, to get rid of the sharp edges, make things a bit nicer. If 0.5 doesn't work, you can always shrink it, because this doesn't seem to be, this seems to be a bit too large of a fillet. So let's try 0.25 once my computer catches up with me. Yep, alright, 0.25 is good. Awesome. So there we go. And I'm gonna try 0.5 on that edge part that we just rounded all the way right here. So that should be fine, it's not too much. And then the final thing is rounding it off, just like so. So you have it. That's your basic edge done. Now, there is an optional thing. If you don't want to bother doing this, you don't need to. But you can add a torpedo at the end of the piece. And here's how you do that. Alright, you want to go back into your sketch that you did to cut the whole cube up. And you want to go here, and there's something you can add. Instead of just having this, you can, instead of having just this, you can add a torpedo, and this is very important information. I never learned this until like my 5th cube, thanks to NK Cube's tutorials. This is very helpful in making your last, in making this feature on the cube. So I'll use a center point arc here like that, and then just go down to your 11mm arc, and that's it. So I'm going to trim that, and there you go. So this should create a nice torpedo on the edge, and this is where this comes in. I'm going to make this 3mm, and then I'm going to attach that to that with the coincident constraint, and then I'm going to make this stick out by 4mm. Actually, let's check. So this is 7, so I'm going to make this 5. You got to make sure it sticks out enough so that it doesn't, so that it can hold in the corner pieces and the edge properly. So there you go. That's all you need to do to your sketch to make this work. And then when that's done, oh shoot, I accidentally messed with the arc. There. That should be fine. There we go. Alright. So now that that's done, I'm going to go back into the assembly, and you'll see that when I do this, it adds in a bunch of stuff to the pieces. So this edge now has a torpedo. Now I'm noticing that this torpedo is very small in the one direction, so I'm going to fix that by editing the sketch and shrinking this to 4mm. So this should help things a bunch. So let's check again, update it. There we go, that's a much nicer size. Now that we have this, what you need to do to make sure that this doesn't cause issues is you use the thicken tool and remove 0.3mm of material from there and from there. That will help reduce friction and prevent issues to be caused by this torpedo. Next thing you want to do is you want to fillet these here, as well as, and then you want to use a variable fillet again and round off these torpedoes, again making sure you uncheck smooth radius transition and changing it to the other type of fillet. So there we go. I'm going to use 2mm here just to make sure it's not too excessive, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply that everywhere else. 0.5 and then 2mm here. Okay, so now that that's done, I can hit apply. And then this is going to be the final fillets to finish this up. So I'm going to put 0.5mm of rounding there. I'm going to put 0.25 under here, and there, and there, and same thing on the other side. Not in places like that. And with a quick look over of the whole piece, it looks like there's only one thing left to do. So now that the finishing fillets are done, I'm going to actually suppress what we just did, and I'm going to use the thicken tool again. And you can do the thicken part before. It's not a huge deal. It's just you can do the filleting first if you want to see what the piece is going to look like beforehand. So there we go. Now that is also going to help reduce friction. I'm going to move these before the fillet, and then I'm going to unsuppress the fillet. And there you have it. So this is a nice looking piece, and just out of preference, I'm going to round this a little bit more. There we go. Now that's a bit more round. That'll corner cut a little bit more nicely. So that's it. That is the finished edge piece. I'm going to save that. And there we go. So this should be an edge that will perform well in the design. So that's it. So that's all there is that I have to show you in this episode of this tutorial series. Again, if you have enjoyed and found this informative, please do leave a like and subscribe to see the rest of the series as I make it. And yeah, so next episode, I'll be moving on to the corner piece. So anyways, I'm Multicubing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.